Long before there was recycling per se, you used to be able to get money. It's not like there was a deposit back in the days. They just used to collect bottles and turn them in. That was one of his particular things. And he was a little bit more of, I don't know if you want to say, an early entrepreneur. Hey, good afternoon. It's the 26th of May, 2017, and I wanted to do something. I'm gonna call, I think, this particular episode Roots, because, well, I was reminded yesterday. I was on the phone with my cousin, and I only have let's see, 4 first cousins, which is really kind of strange. I mean, I think that, I do have a pretty good extended family, but only 4 first cousins. And we were pretty tight for a long time because we only lived about a mile from each other. And they're here in Fort Lee. In case you're wondering, I am at Madonna Cemetery here today. It's kind of a little bit cloudy, a little bit sunny, and I figured I'd take advantage of the sun. But I got to see my cousins a lot because of the close proximity. And what is it? I think I've heard it said that cousins are like brothers and sisters you didn't have. Well, kind of that way. They were all girls. There were us 4 boys, my brothers and I. And I was talking to one of my cousins. She lives down in Charleston, South Carolina. And during the summer, they've got a place up in Vermont. So anyway, she gave me a call and we caught up a little bit. We were just talking about things, reminiscing a little bit about the family and all. And I'm just gonna give you a peek back here. There happens to be a mausoleum with my name on it. Well, at least my last name. And this is kind of a big deal, because here in the cemetery there are there are a lot of headstones, but not a whole lot of mausoleums. So my great grandparents are interred here, Silvestro and Eusebia. And when we talk about being an immigrant country, and believe me, I'm not getting political or anything like that, because that's a very hot topic. But like all of my immigrant relatives arrived here like 1880s, 1890s, and so. But Silvestro, on my father's side, he was kind of like you can't even call him an anchor baby, because when he was a teenager, and I know somebody in the family will correct me if I'm wrong, when he was a teenager, he was sent by his father, Michele, over here to the United States and took up residence in what is now East Harlem, Spanish Harlem, up in the 110s, in that area and all. And they did whatever they could. And he made somewhere around 12 trips back and forth between here in the United States and back to Italy, because they are just a little bit, maybe 35 miles or so northeast of Naples. So anyway, it was a pretty big deal. So he would come up, go back and forth, and he sponsored a lot of people. My grandmother Eusebia, my great grandmother Eusebia, she was interred here. But my grandfather and many of the other Sibs, they were all born here in New York City, and what have you. They came across in 1915 to Fort Lee, and that became where they lived. My grandmother's side of the family, they also were in Fort Lee, and believe it or not, that side of the family, they were friends back in, quote unquote, the old country, right? So anyway, how does this all work out to Roots? There I was in, I forget where the house exactly was. It might have been Hohokus or something. Somebody had a picture of Yankee Stadium being built. Now, on my grandmother's side of the family, they owned a stone and gravel and sand company, like all Italians, right? And my grandfather had the distinct honor of driving in the second truckload of sand to the being built at that time Yankee Stadium, back in the 20s. And every time that I would hear something, the house that Ruth built, I always used to say, "Hey, what about Grandpa Al? Grandpa Albert, Well, that was the deal. He drove it in. I saw this picture, and I'll throw it up on the video here so you can take a look at it. I mean, everybody's got a story as to where they came from, and when I look back to see some of the things that my grandfather or my great-grandfather had done, I mean, he used to collect bottles. Like long before there was recycling per se, you used to be able to get money. It's not like there was a deposit back in the days. They just used to collect bottles and turn them in. That was one of his particular things. And he was a little bit more of, I don't know if you want to say, an early entrepreneur. And my grandfather, not so much. He was more of an employee type. Now my father, he was a little bit of both, because while he was an employee, he was doing the dutiful thing. Every so often, he would venture out and try a little something on his own. So I think that I probably have a little bit more of my great-grandfather, at least on my dad's side of the family. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter where you start or how old you are. Here, take a look at Silvestro. He was 16, 17, 18 years old. Me, I'm 57. So, you can keep on restarting. It doesn't matter how many times you restart. It's just that you keep on, going for it, and that's important. So, I'll leave you with this on it's Memorial Day weekend, and little thank you to all of the people who had fought for the country. I even saw my my grandfather, and if I go onto my ancestry.com, that he had signed up for, like, I guess his that he was eligible to fight in the army. This was his new place. Wasn't so happy about coming over, but I think once he got here, he made the best of it. So there's a lesson to be learned there. Okay? Listen, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for taking your time, and I'll see you next time around.